Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and today I am reacting to a song that I've been wanting to get on the channel for a while now, which is Geoff Castellucci covering Radiohead's High and Dry. This is a song I love, I think, and I can't be sure because I heard them when I was very young. I had some very, very good musical influences around me. But I think this was probably the first Radiohead song that I heard. It's also... I don't mean this as a bad thing. It's unusually accessible, in the sense that I think it's kind of a little bit more... Again, commercial comes across as being a bad thing, and I don't want it to be. But it's a little bit more commercial. It's a little bit more for everybody than a lot of Radiohead's music. And I think it's actually a great introduction to them, in the sense that you get to hear Tom York sing. And he's got such a wonderful voice. You get to hear the band play, you get to hear them do their thing, and then you can dig in and hear some of the more out there music. And when I say out there, you listen to something like Creep, it's not particularly out there, but the way they perform it, and the way that it's been arranged, it's not something that easily computes. They do unusual things with music, and so that makes them a little bit more polarizing than if they did everything in the vein of High and Dry. Complete contrast to that, High and Dry was originally released as a double single with Planet Telex. You listen to Planet Telex, it's much more, if you say to somebody who knows Radiohead, it's much more what you would expect to hear. You can hear also in Planet Telex, I always think, some of that influence that Muse took and ran with, and you don't really hear that in High and Dry. I love this song so much. It's gorgeous. Tom York didn't really like it. Tom York is wrong. One thing I do know about that, I had a quick glance. So one thing I knew about this already, he actually sang this with the Headless Chickens, which was his earlier band. But I wandered onto Wikipedia to see if I could find out anything else, mostly because I was interested to know how high it went in the charts. Incidentally, it went to number 17 on the singles chart with Planet Telex as a double single. Made it up to 18 on the alternative airplay in the US and 78 on the Billboard 100, which I think is pretty awesome. It's also gold certified in Italy and the UK and double platinum in Canada, which is amazing. So yeah, it's done very well for itself. But yeah, so Tom wrote this with the Headless Chickens. What I didn't know was some of the other stuff that was here about it. So in 93, this was released in 95. In 93, they recorded a demo with their live engineer, but dismissed it as, quote, to Rod Stewart. And yeah, in 2006, York said that the EMI actually pushed him to release it and that he thought it was a very bad song. I stand by the fact that he is wrong. Written and recorded, that's Planet Telex. There was something else in here that caught my eye. Oh yeah, the Irish Times said that High and Dry had essentially invented Coldplay. I could get behind that, actually. That makes complete sense to me. So yeah, it's pretty cool. This is also an example of a very fascinating style of music, which has the rather wonderful name shoegaze. And shoegaze, if you sort of look into it, there's a lot of bands in there that you would recognize, I think. If you actually go on and have a look, there's a surprising number of artists in shoegaze. I always thought it was a fairly kind of tight thing, but there's a list of shoegaze musicians on Wikipedia, and there's more than you might think. Always is a good example, more recent. But yeah, there's a whole bunch in there, and go take a look. It's a really awesome style of music. So yes, that's that. I'm going to stop waffling on about the song because it's great, but we will know that just by listening to it. And I've understood. So firstly, my thanks. I've got a list here of 3 names in particular. Huldra Draco, Jesse Reddy, and Wildcat 101, amongst many others, were the first, or amongst the first, to recommend this to me. For once, I actually wrote some names down. And I very much appreciate that. I'm glad you put it on my radar that he'd even done this, because it might have taken me a while to catch on to it. And I'm really excited to hear what he does. Holdra says this is Geoff with piano, which I'm very interested to hear. And we'll see what's what. Firstly, though, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you haven't been here before. The way this works, I'm going to watch the video through to the end, just sort of emoting and sort of commenting over the top. And then I will go back and watch it again, and that time I will interrupt and analyze and offer what commentary I feel like I can. So if you're just here for the reaction, the first quarter or so of this video will be for you. It's time-coded out, so you should be able to see that easily enough. Also, please like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you would like to. It's free for you, but it does great things for me. Hit the notification bell if you would like to know each time one of my videos comes out. And if you would care to, please feel free to head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, and you can donate there to support the channel. And if you wish, contribute to the items I have on my wish list, which will go directly towards not just helping me, but actually specifically helping me to record these videos. Okay, I think that's everything. So without further delay, I'm dressed for the occasion, apparently. I'm in not matching garb, but close colours anyway. This is Geoff Castellucci covering High and Dry by Radiohead. Is that the... Oh, yeah.
Two jumps in a week. Bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy?
Oh, lovely time.
Flying on your motorcycle, watching on the ground beneath you.
Oh!
You kill yourself for recognition. You kill yourself to never ever stop. You broke another mirror. You're turning into something you are not.
This is beautiful.
Don't leave me high.
Yes, Geoff.
Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Drying up in conversation, you will be the one who cannot talk.
Love this backing.
And all your insides fall to pieces. You just sit there wishing that you could still make love. They're the ones that hate you when you think you got the world all sussed out. They're the ones who'll spit at you. You will be the one screaming out. So don't leave me high. Don't leave me
It's amazing.
dry. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry.
Lovely hearing some of his upper range.
Well, it's the best thing that you ever had. The best thing that you ever had. Well, it's the best thing that you ever had. The best thing you have had has gone away. Well, it's the best thing that you ever had. The best thing that you ever had. Well, it's the best thing that you ever had. The best thing you have had has gone away.
Oh. My goodness, that's beautiful. I feel like... That's nice. I feel like he nailed the style, the way that he chose to sing that, I don't think I knew High and Dry could sound like that, and now I'm really glad I do. Does that make sense? That's really powerful. The amount of soul he put into that was incredible. It's clear he loves the song. Yeah, that... Wow. I don't know what I expected, but that just blew me away. That was a lot more mute than most of my reactions because I was just listening. Very easy to do with Geoff, but that, yeah, truly extraordinary. Yes, by the way, I'm aware it's on the screen. I will be getting to The Sound of Silence at some point. That one's getting requested a lot. I'm just going to have a quick look. Let's just see. I mean, obviously, I assume Geoff did the arrangement of that. Produced and arranged by me. Please be gentle. I'm fragile. Oh, bless you, Geoff. Understood, but also, my goodness, you don't need to be. Audio mixed by Ed. That makes sense. Production manager, Kathy. What's this? High and Dry was written and performed by Tom York of Radiohead. The song was released in '95, even though Tom thought it was a terrible tune. True. I strongly disagree. Yes. I only know this song because I'm terribly old and boring and also old. So very old. Oh, bless you, Geoff. You are not old. I don't know what... I mean, obviously Radiohead had success over here. I don't know how much of it came over here. This is a little earlier in their career, I think. Although that said, I don't know. How long was Radiohead around for? That's actually a question I genuinely... Like, I don't know when they came into being. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, 1985. They're as old as me. Okay. I did not realise that. Nigel Godrich started working with them in '94, right? Then they signed to EMI in '91. Debut album in '93. Okay, so they were performing and writing music, but they didn't actually start recording music for 7 or 8 years. Okay, and Creep was their debut single. Oh, I didn't realise that. Okay. This was their... And Pablo Honey, that was their debut album, and this was then on The Bends, which was the second album. Wow, okay. I didn't realise they'd been around that long, although it also doesn't surprise me, given, you know, they have a enormous portfolio. My goodness, that's just completely mellowed me out, and just... I feel like I'm bathing in the music still. I'm gonna... Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I'm just gonna go back and watch this through again, and let's see what I can see. This is an interesting choice. Am I ever going to get through a single video without stopping it in somewhere between the 2 and 5 second mark? Excuse me, got hiccups. There's a double interesting choice here. One is, he's chosen a patch at this point, or at least he's adjusted the settings for the patch he is using to have very... Like, there's no attack whatsoever. You can... broadly speaking, there are several parts to a note, but attack is the hit at the beginning. It's the onset. Decay is the opposite of that. It's how long it takes to tail off at the end of the note. There's no attack here. It's just kind of... It's not... Boom. There's no hit. It's just this very soft, gentle sound, which is the perfect sound to bring in here. It sets the vibe for everything that's about to follow. It's also why, you'll notice when I started watching the playthrough, I hit rewind a couple of times because I thought I'd missed the beginning, because it's such an unusual way to start something. The second thing is the fact that he starts it the split second you hit the play button. There's no, obviously I wouldn't sit with the piano up here, but there's no sort of to get you going. It's just straight in on that note. And because it doesn't have an attack, it almost sounds like you've missed the first sort of, 40 or 50 milliseconds of the note where there was a hit at the beginning, and then you realize, no, actually that's just what it was. And it's just, I love that it's just straight to the music. They've cut that so tight to the beginning of this. And that's very unusual. You don't do that very often, and I actually think it's astonishingly effective in this. Third thing, I love the simplicity of what we're looking at here. If you take skin tone for a moment out of the equation, and also this shelf that we're seeing in the top left-hand corner of the screen, this is all shades of black and white and grey. And the simplicity of that is wonderful. It's interesting, the last Geoff song I did was The Bare Necessities, which was equally simple, but it was flashing colour everywhere. And it's like I've gone to completely the polar opposite. It's like you could show me this on a black and white TV and it wouldn't look much different. And it's a really, really great choice for this, I think. It's such a lovely, lovely look for a very simple song. You don't want to do anything particularly complicated with this, I don't think. And Geoff's gone about as simple as it's possible to go. It's him, it's the instrument he needs to play, it's the microphone we need to be able to hear him, and it's a curtained window. Shelf notwithstanding. Great choices. And then the first thing we hear after those beautiful slow chords at the beginning is an immediate attack. There is a lot of attack on the sound he's playing there. That's completely different to what we had for the first four chords. Now we're hearing those notes. It's not super heavy. Like, you don't hear the sort of bang. It's like there's a little bit pulled away, but it's significantly more than we just had. And it makes it stand out. It's almost like a fanfare over the top of this very, very gentle like tone almost. It's a chord obviously, but it sounds like a tone just underneath.
Two jumps in a week.
What a wonderful way to start this piece. And I love that it's like there's not even anything, he's just resting his other hand on the piano. He's not doing anything with it. The entire focus is on this little musical figure that we have here before he starts singing. And it's just, it's openness. That's what this, you know what this is? And I think this is exactly why he writes, "Be gentle, I'm fragile." This is vulnerability personified in a song. The way that he's done this, I think. Because this is a very, very, very vulnerable beginning. Sorry,
two jumps in a week. Bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy?
Lovely tone here. I love the register he's chosen to start this in. I've said this before with him. This is his version, I think, of the expansion of breadth that voice play does, where they start with everybody, often, not always, but they start with everybody tight together and they widen as they go. Geoff starts in the middle of his range. He doesn't go too high, he doesn't go too low. Like, we know he can do it, and we get beautiful examples of both in this. But he starts in the middle so that he gives himself places to go to wow us. He doesn't need to come in on like that right down at the bottom. It's not necessary, because we know he's going to go there, and he is going to go there. It's just, this is lovely. Is this... I'm trying to think of all the Geoff videos. I think this is the first time I haven't heard him harmonise with himself. It's just him and the piano. It's... oh... just incredible.
Think that's pretty clever, jumps in. Two jumps in a week. Bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy?
Lovely. I want to go back on that one more time, actually. There's a cool thing he does here.
2 jumps in a week. Bet you think...
Just that bet. It gives us the beginnings of a hint of where he's going to go. We start to hear the depth he can hit. But he's not settling down there. It's like he's giving himself... It's like a rolled chord on the piano, where you have, you know, a C and then the G above it and then the E above that, and you kind of play it as a ding, ding, ding. It's that, but vocally. That's... On the timing of it, I believe that is something that we would call... I'm trying to remember which way... My goodness, my music theory suffered. This is an acciaccatura, I believe. There's acciacciaturas and appoggiaturas. I think this is an acciaccatura, which is a wonderful word to say. But it's just one of those little notes that's boom. It's barely there. And vocally, you know, it's extraordinary that he jumps it so cleanly. It's quite a distance he's jumping with that. And it's just a note that it's barely there. It just leads us into something. It's just a little embellishment. It's like it's a one-note riff that lands then on the note of the melody. And it's just so nice having it there because we get that... Oops. We get that little lead into that note and we hear just a hint of bass Geoff.
That's pretty clever. 2 jumps in a week. Bet you think...
It's not even particularly deep. Is it an octave? Is it an octave? Can't quite...
2 jumps in a week. Bet you think that's pretty...
I can't. It's so quick I can barely hear it. But it's not It's not hugely deep, but it's so much deeper than what we're hearing, and it just gives us some contrast. It's lovely.
Pretty clever, don't you, boy? Flying on your motorcycle, watching on the ground beneath you.
Oh, he doesn't need to give us that again because we know he can do it. We've been set up for it. Now what we're getting instead is we get this incredible subharmonic, which, I mean, that was so early in the song, it quite surprised me when it went through because I wasn't expecting him to go there yet. And it's great. It's a lovely moment to do so because it's all about him right now. We've got this total freedom of sound. I love this.
Your motorcycle, watching on the ground beneath you.
Also, drop. He did. The one thing that's interesting here is the piano he's playing underneath all of this. Notice it doesn't really move. I say really because you have the dum, 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 dum. But then it just sits there. It's got those 2 chords, the dum, 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 dum. Those 2 chords. It just sits on. There's no rhythmic movement there during the times that he's singing, really. And A, that allows us to build to it later, and B, it gives the piano something to do that's a bit more unique between each of his lines. Very, very well done.
You kill yourself.
Oh, the subtleness of that P too. Drop. It's there. You can hear it. You can hear the plosive, and you can hear the little burst of breath, but it's so subtle. It's just this is something that it wants you to be right here to listen to it and to really focus and kind of be, like craning in to hear every little detail that he's singing. I love it.
Watching on the ground beneath you. You kill yourself.
I just want to hear that one more time. I'm not going back for any other reason.
Watching on the ground beneath you. You kill yourself for recognition. You kill yourself to never ever stop.
He's so reserved in his singing here. It's not kill yourself with recognition. You kill yourself with recognition. See how little he's moving his mouth too. He's an expressive singer. If he wanted to move his mouth, he would be doing so. He has chosen to keep everything so still. And it's interesting then when we get that one note in the piano accompaniment there that's bum. It rings out above everything else, and it's such a deliberate move. It's just the subtleties in this are amazing.
Never stop. You broke another mirror. You're turning into something you are not. Don't.
Oh, and then just he just falls off the note. It's so effective because he's going so low when he does it. It's like he's falling into nothingness. It doesn't matter that we don't actually hear where the drop ends. He just falls off, and the effect is there. It's lovely. The nice thing is he doesn't need to sub again. We've already had that. And so now he's doing something different. He's constantly shifting up how he's performing this.
You broke another mirror. You're turning into something you are not. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Don't.
Lovely what he's doing here. It's still we're in the same register. It's going a little bit further afield now because that's what the song does. He's not doing that. He's still in the same register for singing this. He's just filling it in at the register it was written. What I do love is that we don't have a huge change in the accompaniment at this point. It could have been one of those, let's pick everything up, let's have a bit more motion. It could have been, don't leave me high. We could have had a harder note there, but it's a don't leave me high. Like, right now with my still slightly weakened voice, I'm struggling to even hold that note that quietly. And it's just this beautiful... granted, I'm sitting down and blah, blah, blah. So is he. What am I even talking about? But it's work. Even when you can do it, it's work to hold those notes that quietly and that purely. That's why songs like Bring Him Home are so impressive. And I love what he's doing here. Is he's starting to modulate his range without making any extra effort at all. And one of the things that amazes me so much about Geoff is how little effort it always looks like he's putting in, and yet what astonishing sounds he can make.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one more back.
Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry.
I love these gentle leans up. Don't leave me high. There's a clear note. High. He hits the second, I think, and then rolls up to the third. And then don't leave me dry. It's not dry, dry. There's a little lift. I'm gesturing wildly and my hand is off screen. There's a little lift. Dry. Just a little upward push. And it just gives it this lovely sense of having like a little lean towards the note. It doesn't need to be a clean hit bang on the note he's singing, the style that he's doing it. Not necessary. Oh, one more.
Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry.
I also love this. Don't leave me dry. The downbeat comes just before he finishes the line. And so we get this onset, and it just bridges the gap between the end of chorus 1 and the beginning of verse 2. That's really nice. I like this split screen effect here that we've got that shows us that it's him making all of these sounds. That's really, really nice. Filmed separately, of course. Couldn't have your hands clapping and on the piano at the same time, but you'll also notice that in the shot with his feet, I caught this watching it first time because I was interested to know whether he was doing this live, and there was just a camera down on the floor. His right foot never comes off the pedal. And what that pedal is doing is it's holding the notes on. So when you play, if you play a note on a piano and just lift your hands up, you're not doing anything else, it'll ring out. It doesn't just cut off. It's not like it's ah. It's sort of an ah. It's what am I even doing? Ah. It'll fade fairly fast, but it will fade. And it has a bit of length to it. What that pedal would do, if you press that down and then hit the note, you'd get ah. Like it would fade away, but it would take a lot longer. It's called a sustain pedal. I'm probably telling a lot of you what you already know, but for any who aren't so musically versed, and it's one of a multitude of pedals you can have for a piano, but it's also the most common. And what that would do is it would allow, you can change chords and not have a gap in the music, which is particularly good when you're doing piano accompaniment. I find it very helpful for that. It also can be for effect. You can have two chords that are different played on top of each other, and you play the first one, pedal goes down, play the second one without lifting the pedal. You get a very, very different effect. If you listen to the piano part, he is clearly changing the pedal. He's taking his foot off, putting it back on again, which captures the new sound. So yeah, that was a very wide tangent for me, just saying, yeah, these are all, or at least the bottom two were filmed at a different time to the top two. By now, it would be sounding a lot muddier if he wasn't lifting and re-putting down the pedal.
Only may drive.
This is very effective. You get this a lot in piano. If you go into like ragtime stuff and old style music hall, things like that, people would stamp their feet as a form of percussion, especially if there wasn't a drummer on stage. A lot of people do it when they're playing kind of more fast and upbeat jazz music, things like that. It's not an uncommon feature, and it's just really nice for this. We're not going any more complicated than we were at the beginning of the video. It is Geoff in this room with the piano, with the microphone, and nothing else. And it's just perfect.
Drying up in conversation, you will be the one who cannot talk.
Such a lovely choice to go up here. We have the same established register in the piano, so Geoff can widen it by going up, so he does. He's added the percussion. The stamping has brought it down a little bit, because that's a much lower frequency. And so he's expanded that way already, so his voice goes up, and now we've expanded in both directions. We've got that breadth I was talking about earlier. Brilliant, brilliant. And note how much more the piano is doing now than it was in that first verse as well. It's getting busier too. All this evolution and progression is great.
And all your insides fall to pieces. You just sit there wishing that you could still make love.
We've also got a little bit more embellishment. Make love. Whatever it was he just did. His vocal line is getting a little bit more complicated. It's really, really nice. I love hearing this sort of more low tenor range from Geoff. I know he can sing it. I've heard him sing it before, but hearing just it on its own, it's beautiful. Just the tone of this man's voice, my goodness.
Fall to pieces. You just sit there wishing that you could still make love. They're the ones that hate you when you think.
Nice touch there too. They're the ones that hate you. He started down. It's almost like he's done an extended version of that Achiachachura figure from earlier. We started low and we've gone back to where we were. We're not staying low. We're just dropping it in as little hints of that other part of the voice. It's just a really, really nice touch. Also, I love that run. Whatever the notes are. That's just a beautiful travel, sort of traveling motion going up.
They're the ones that hate you when you think you got the world all sussed out. They're the ones who'll spit at you. You will be the one screaming out. So don't.
Lovely choices here. This is just gorgeous.
Pulls us down. There,
So he comes in there on, I think, 3 and.
down. There.
Yeah, 3 and. So we get this long, they're the ones. It sits up there for a minute, and it just gives it a little bit of heart. Like those notes like that, where you bring them in a little early, it just kind of, you feel the emotion that's being put into it.
They're the ones who'll spit at you. You will be the one screaming out.
I love that too. Screaming out. We're not going, you know, that could be a scream, something like that. It could have gone somewhere more flashy, and it didn't. It's still restrained. Even as we're getting more, he's getting louder, he's getting more articulated in the notes that he's adding in. It's this, and yet we still go back to that slide again. Oh, this is lovely. And now we change again, completely pulling back.
I'll be the one screaming out. So don't leave me out.
Like we've just had screaming out. That could have been a don't leave me high. But instead it's don't leave me high. We're back to that quiet, reserved voice where it's like it's a spring coiling back in again to bounce even further in a second. It's
So don't leave
also the piano as well. That's quite a hard dang 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 dang. Like that's harder than he's hit it at all in this entire video. Like we've built to this point, and now we're going to pull back to build again even further.
screaming out. So don't leave me out. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me out.
I love the strings that have been layered in there. Very subtle. Not even 100% sure of most of the notes they're playing because they're that far back in the arrangement, but it gives it some thickness. It's got a sense of density to it now that it didn't have when it was just the piano and the vocals, and it really suits this song so very well, giving it that kind of it's becoming more blanketed. It's a little less bare. It's becoming something that you can lie on and sink into rather than just being, you know, flat back against it. My analogies are weird today, but you know what I'm getting at, I think. Yeah, this is just lovely. And then we have a little more motion in the piano. We have the percussion continuing. Like this is still elevated from where we were before.
Don't leave me out. Don't leave me dry.
This is so nice. Oh my goodness, there's so many good things in this. I love the choice to drop down at the end, giving us that we're kind of coming back into register, but also a little bit lower, giving us a little bit of a hint of where we're going. And I love this figure that we're focusing on him playing here. Like it's so tightly wound around the tonic, the major seventh directly below it, and the second just above it. And it's just giving us a little bit of dissonance as we go in there. But it's such a beautiful sound. And then it goes down to that bum 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 and leaves off on the fifth, giving us somewhere to go. Like it doesn't resolve, it just drifts away. I feel like drifting is a good word to use in this song. You feel a little bit like you're drifting along.
What is the best thing that you ever had? The best thing that you ever had.
Lovely having him go low. Notice that as he's gone low, he's now got this bum bum, this upper register piano, just in that little tiny embellishment there to go against him. He's also not just added, he's changed his vocal quality again. We're getting a little bit of fry creeping in here, a little bit of that just in it's not heavy, but it's there just changing the timbre of what he's singing, and it's just giving us a little bit more flavor. It's just, oh, this is so good.
What is the best thing that you ever had? The best thing that you ever had.
Oh, and it's his range. Bum, bum, dum. Like it's like he's demonstrating his vocal range on a piano. That's nonsense. He can't sing quite that high. And I'm pretty sure he can sing lower than that. In fact, I know he can. But it's just, I like that we get that momentary, we've gone from this tight, within 2.5 octaves probably, to suddenly having like this 5 octave gap, just for a moment. It's really nice.
What is the best thing that you ever had? The best thing you have had.
Interesting there too, that first chord, da-da-dum, he actually plays that one out, and then the second one just lands straight. It's a nice beginning to the phrase. That's really lovely, and the chords he's chosen under this are so beautiful.
What is the best thing that you ever had? The best thing you have had is gone away. What is the best thing that you ever had? The best thing.
Oh, it's just so lovely. I love that when we come back straight back into tempo, immediately the percussion just picks up again. And we're just back in at it. We've got that push forward. We've had this pullback. We've sat back for a second, and now we're leaning forward. The play with the emotions and the pacing of the piece is perfect. I also love now we've got this kind of dum. It's quite musical theatre almost, that as an underscore, and it's just giving the piano a little bit more prominence. It's now interrupting a little bit, like it's pushing, trying to be heard more than it has been so far. It's really nice.
Well, it is the best thing that you ever had. The best thing that you ever had.
And just his pacing is a very typical 3-3-2, very, very typical way of breaking down a 4/4 bar of quavers of whole, half, eighth notes. That dung 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 dung. It's a very, very typical rhythm, but I love how it's the entire focus of the underscoring at this point. It works really, really well with what he's doing with the song.
Well, it is the best thing that you ever had. The best thing that you ever had.
And I love it. It's this very steady dum 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 of what I'm guessing that's probably like a high cello sound. Just in the background, just keeping that pace going even while. So you've got this jum with the piano as well. It's sort of this jum 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 jum. It's playing around with emphasis. It's really effective. I like it. I think it's dum 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 dum. Is the cello jumping down there as well? I can't quite hear it. It sounded like it might be, but I'm wondering if I'm just hearing the note from the piano.
Is the best thing that you ever had. The best thing you have had has gone away.
So nice. Now it's really building. And he's earned something like the gone away. That is fully earned. He's led up to that the whole way through the song, and it's not out of place at all. We're really getting to this point, like we're hitting peak, and it's just really effective.
Has gone away. So don't leave me.
And now we get double track. He's recorded himself twice. You can hear it in the tone of the voice there. It sounds a little bit fuller than just one voice, and that's because it is. There's two of him. Maybe three, probably two, singing at the same time, and you're never going to quite... It would be extremely difficult to be on like the same pitch, not even 2 cents off of yourself. You might also time it very, very slightly. The oscillation of your breath might be very, very slightly different. There's lots and lots of reasons as to why two identical recordings of you singing the same thing aren't quite identical. They may as well be, for all intents and purposes. But when you layer them like this, it fleshes it out, because rather than being, we haven't gone from a flat line to this sort of and being another flat line. It is here. It's attached to it. It's not. It's fully tight. We're not hearing two different sounds, but it's not quite level, and so it fleshes out the sound a little bit. And this is the perfect time to use it. Oh, and lovely, the bum 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 is there in the background. You can hear him playing it over underneath Dry. Oh, that climb. Don't leave me high. For one, the word is high. He's going higher. Another lovely example of lyrics following the melody following the lyrics, excuse me. But also, it just kind of gives us this sense that we're going up to somewhere to hold for a moment and just take a pause before we finish off. Don't leave me. And it's also, he's changed the rhythm here, because it's usually don't leave me dry. Like the downbeat comes while you're singing high and dry. Don't leave me high for one. Don't leave me one dry. Like it falls there, and what he does here is he hits it and then does the don't leave me. So he's coming in significantly later with all of it, and it's just a really nice play on rhythm, because we don't expect it, but it fits so perfectly well. Don't leave me dry. It's effectively like, no, you know what it is? It's like he's added a bar in. Because the dry still comes roughly where it would do, but we expect it to have happened already. And it's just really nice, that little delay. It just slows it, just puts the brakes on for a millisecond before we carry on back into the song. Ugh. Don't leave me dry. And this, I'm going to be going back on this note a couple of times too, but this gradual descent, don't leave me dry, don't leave me dry, don't leave me dry. It's we've had that. We'll just take it. Oh my god, my voice sounds terrible right now. It takes us up, and then he just gradually comes back down again, like drifting back down to earth through all the octaves. It's just, oh, this is so well done. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me dry. Oh. I noticed the piano doesn't change register throughout all of that. It stays in the same pitch. So he's the one expanding that sound by dropping down and down and down. It's entirely his control. The piano just keeps going. That's so, so good. A couple of things in here I want to listen to as well. There's a really nice motion there. I just want to see if he does it earlier. Don't leave me dry. No, so both of those times, it's basically 1 2 2 1, and it's just a very gentle motion. And this time we add one in. And then it shifts from the bass. We go, I think it's up the octaves, and so we go up to the third at that point. But it's giving us a slightly different texture. Don't leave me I also like his decision. We don't finish dun dun dun. It's like dun 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 dun. Like it's just it rolls to a stop rather than just stopping dead. That's a really, really nice choice. Also, I've spoken about this a few times, most egregiously in my opinion with the Todrick Hall video that I covered during Disney Month, but there's a couple of other groups as well where I've just said, leave a minute at the end of your song, give yourself a second for the music to finish, and see what happens here. Still going. There. That's where it cuts off. We allow that note to disappear on its own before we then push on to any kind of outro. And I love that he does it over black too. That's such a great choice. This sometimes gets adhered to and sometimes doesn't, but if you went and saw this in a concert performance venue, and you were seeing it live, the cue to begin applauding is when the pianist lifts their hands off the keyboard. Now, excitement and love of people's music, that often doesn't happen these days, but if you went to go and see a piece of classical piano music played, you wouldn't start clapping while their hands were still depressing keys. You would wait until their hands were up. Notice that he does not take his hand off the keyboard. He doesn't lift it off until after the screen's gone. And it's lovely because it's like the signal that the song isn't done yet. The song isn't done until the pianist tells you it is. One more time. I mostly just wanted to hear that sub again, but oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. Well done, Geoff. Two of the folks I named earlier, I've closed that list now, of course, so I don't have it to hand. Not Holdra, but the other two. That was a little thread of comments where they commented that this was Geoff's favourite solo arrangement that he'd done. Now this was, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago that this was recommended to me, so that may have changed. He may like something else he's done more, and I know that there's a couple. Yes, I know Till Then is around the corner, and Sound of Silence, and there's some amazing stuff out there. But I mean, I've been melted inside just listening to that. Like I'm in a puddle of happiness right now because it's just so gorgeous and so mellow, and that's a real chill arrangement. And the way that he performs it, and of course, I mean, his voice, it's just, it's so, like, it's caramel. It's just like warm and comforting, and it's that is so stunning. I love that. I can feel that, like I still feel that in me, and I will do for a while. I'll be listening to this one for a long time to come, not that it's any different to any of the others, but I just want to start again right now because it's so good. Thank you very much for being here with me. I hope that you've enjoyed that. Maybe got a little something out of my commentary. Please do like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell if you want to know when my videos come out, and if you would care to, head to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts where you can donate to support the channel. I'm going to go and listen to this 100 more times. I apologise, by the way, to any who have left me comments recently and I haven't responded. As this video comes out, I'm actually away at a conference, and the last couple of weeks have been a bit crazy with my day job getting ready for that, and so I haven't been spending the time to go over comments as much. I will catch up with that, I promise. I love reading them. I am still reading them, but I like to engage as well, and I'm getting to the point now where it's not going to be as possible as I'd like it to be, but I will still reply to comments. So thank you for leaving them. I really appreciate it, and I am just glad that you enjoy my work. So thank you very much for sharing it with me once again. I am very grateful. Have a wonderful whatever time of day it is, wherever you are watching this. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye for now.